Hi guys, and welcome back to another NBA DraftKings first look for Tuesday. A very busy Tuesday, 11 games on. Before I get into it though, hit the bell, ring it, flick it, give it a thumbs up, leave your comments, and make sure you subscribe to this channel as well. You'll never miss a show. Let's go on and talk about the games. The first one of those, the Denver Nuggets against the Charlotte Hornets. Monty Morris could be back, and that's going to have an impact on guys like Austin Rivers and Facu Campazzo, who have been putting up some pretty big numbers, while Aaron Gordon is probable. Paul Millsap didn't play last game due to a back-to-back, so he should be back. And they have been starting Millsap in that lineup with Dozier out. They could go to Morris, I guess, but I reckon they'd want to ease him back after that hamstring issue. The Nuggets are 5-point favorites. The total is 217.5. The Hornets made a change to their rotation last game, and they played basically all traditional centers. So, with going up against Nikola Jokic, does Cody Zeller get a run? He had 32 fantasy points last game in 22 minutes. He's averaging 20 over his last 5, and he's at 3,500. I'm not saying that he's the greatest option out there, but he's someone who I think has more value than on the surface it may appear. Paul Millsap at 4,000. If they do go with him starting again, I think there's some value in that one. While Aaron Gordon absolutely want nothing to do with that. Big Chungus is at 11,000. Nikola Jokic, we love it. We love it. There's a 60-pointer coming, I reckon. Well, Austin Rivers at 42 has been strong, but if Morris plays, I think that cuts him down somewhat. Maga Porter Jr.'s at 85. It feels like it's just a little bit too high, while Rozier at 81. He's really turned it up the last couple of games. Especially with Devontae Graham out. Now, Graham is questionable for this one, so we don't know whether he's back, but Rozier could be an option for us here. I like PJ Washington Jr. at 73. I like it better if they play him at center, but his power forward numbers have been all right of late. Well, 87 for LaMelo. It feels just a little bit too high. I do like 57 for Facu, though, especially if Monty Morris is sidelined, but at this point, we don't know that there. I do think there is a decent chance that Morris plays this game, which does reduce Campazzo's value, but not enough to make me completely come away from him. Next game, the Minnesota Timberwolves. They are taking on the Detroit Pistons. The Pistons, they are just resting everybody again. No Plumlee, no Joseph, no Allington, no Jeremy Grant. They're all a bit too tired at the moment. While the Wolves are going to welcome back Jaden McDaniels. He'll slot back into that starting lineup. 3,400, or no Hamidou Diallo either, actually. Joshy Jackson and Frankie Jackson are both questionable. So there could be a really, really large opportunity for a bloke by the name of Saban Lee, whose last game was really impressive, playing alongside Killian Hayes. 28 DraftKings points there. At least someone to take a look at. Alf Stewart's at 6,400. No Plumlee, so Alf should get a pretty good run at things. While D'Angelo Russell's up at 7,900. Now, that might seem a lot, and it is. But he's dropping 40s very, very regularly at the moment. So I like it with a dose of skepticism. Killian Hayes was excellent. 40 points last game. Can he do it again against the notorious defense of D'Angelo Russell? Maybe. I think there's an absolute opportunity at 5,400 for him to be in play for us. Townsend's at 10-2. That looks strong. While Goose, Anthony Edwards at 8,400. Maybe just pushing a little bit too high there for Edwards. The depressed penis, Sadiq Bey at 66, also feels like it's just a smidge too high for my tastes. Next game. Miami taking on the Boston Celtics. Of course, we know there's not going to be any Jaylen Brown here for Boston. They're also going to be most likely without Rob Williams, dealing with that toe problem. Not a surprise after he exited the last game early. No Victor Oladipo for Miami. So Tristan Thompson at 4,600 has at least some appeal, I think, here. Maybe he's a 25-point player. He's averaging 27 over the last 5 anyway, so there is some value there. And Evan Fournier, the salary hasn't responded to the fact that Jalen's out for the season, so 5,400 for Fournier. The dude's averaging 40 already, so let's fire him up. I'm also firing up Jace Tatum at 9,700. He's going to get lots of shots. While Marcus Smart is absolutely down at the moment, not playing particularly well. He's shooting his way off, averaging just 24 over the last 3. I would have liked that salary to come down a little bit more, but I do not hate using him here. Butler's at 92. He's putting up big numbers consistently. Really love the floor value in Jim. While Bam Adebayo's at 86. It's probably just a smidge too high. Kendrick Nunn, no thank you. But Trevor Ariza, love what he is doing. Filling a key role for this Heat team. And at 4,900, I do like his ability there. While Aaron Nesmith at 3,300. Again, someone has to fill in for the minutes of Jaylen Brown. Now, Nesmith had some opportunities. He's had some decent games. He's had some stinkers as well. But 26 there, and over 20 in three of the last 5 at 3,300 with the opportunity that's staring at him. Yeah, I do think he's at least someone that we want to put in our player pool ahead of like a Romeo Langford or a Peyton Pritchard for sure. The next game we look at, the Clippers and the Raptors. The Raptors have put their cue in the rack, I reckon. No Siakam, no Anunoby, no Lowry, no Van Vliet. But they are curiously potentially bringing back the wiki, Chris Boucher, who has been out with that MCL injury. I'm really fired up to have a look at a bloke by the name of Jalen Harris, who's at 3,100. Harris dropped 32 in 29 minutes last game, and he's going to have that chance again. And we can also look at Yuta Watanabe at 3,500, who'll probably start in place of Siakam. So opportunities for both of those guys. I prefer them to Stan Johnson, who'll probably start in place of OG Anunoby. Malachi Flynn's there at 5,300. Really, really strong value. Floor value, ceiling value. Love that one. And I'm not sure I'm super keen on guys like Kawhi or Paul George. I just think this might be one that they can just take the foot off the pedal somewhat. Gary Trent, in theory, you look at it and go, yeah, maybe. You look at it and go, yeah, he's going to get a lot of shots. But Trent has that ability to just miss 80% of his shots in certain games, and he doesn't do enough in any other areas. So the 6,000 is fine. You want to stay well away from that in cash, though, because there is no consistency, there is no stability in his production, but he could easily drop a 55 or a 60 here in this situation. Kem Birch, if we do hear that Boucher is out, Birch's value rises at 6,200. But if Boucher does play, I wouldn't want to use Chris, but I'd also then ease myself off of Birch somewhat there. I don't think, the Clippers guy's not that keen on many of them, to be honest, given the fact that this could be a pretty big blowout. No Serge Ibaka for them in this game. Not that anybody's surprised about that one. Dallas, Memphis, back-to-back. For the Grizzlies, Porzingis is out for the Mavericks. Grayson Allen is out for the Grizzlies. I imagine that Jaren Jackson will be out, given it is a back-to-back. So can we fire up DeAnthony Melton? Well, it's always a risky proposition, given the way that Taylor Jenkins runs that rotation, but he's always in play for us. Always an option. And same as Des Bane at 4,100, who should start in place of Allen because they'll push him in with Jackson out. So I think there is value there for Bainey. Kyle Anderson at 56, I really think there's strong floor value in that. Not so much upside, but strong floor value. And the same goes with Brandon Clark, who should get an elevated role with Jackson on, or most likely on the sidelines. I do like Valanciunas at 79. This should be a really big opportunity for him. While Morant's at 8,000, I'm not particularly keen on that. Luka's at 10.8. It looks okay. But one of the big producers for Dallas of late has been Dwight Powell. The numbers, let me just remove that so I can show you. Dwight Powell has been putting up some big ones. And last game was really good, even coming off the bench behind Cauley Stein, like 38, 38, 34, 30. He's at 4,200. No Porzingis. Sure, why not? Fire him up. He could have a stinker, but he's been playing pretty well. And I think Timmy Hardaway at 62 looks all right with the absence of Porzingis there as well. Brooklyn and Chicago. We know that there is no James Harden playing in this one for Brooklyn. The Bulls, Daniel Tice is questionable for them. Kyrie's at 9,600. You feel that Kyrie will be able to have pretty close to a 50-pointer against Chicago. You're not too worried about their defensive matchups. And then Nick Claxton, who's basically a minimum salary player. Now, I don't know how much they play Claxton. I'd like them to start pushing him over 20. But at 3,100, even if he gets 19 points, the value is fine. Like these last few games, before he got COVID, 19 and 20, and then came back for 2 points in his first game in just 5 minutes, then 14 and 15 points. So he pushes up to 20. Like there is value in that. Durant's at 9,900. Also, look, the Bulls aren't stopping Kevin Durant, so 9,900 looks all right to me. While Vooch is at 10.3, and again, I don't expect the Nets to be able to stop Vooch. He's going to put up his numbers. The Nets have no defensive ability whatsoever, so that looks good. I think we've got to look at Blake Griffin as well, amazingly. He's at 4,900, and his recent numbers have been really solid. 33 and 30 in the last 2 games, and another 30-pointer back there against the Blazers. Playing at center, 27, 28 minutes a night. He's playing pretty well. And 4,900 gives some value. 95 for Zach LaVine, probably on the high side. And 69 for Kobe White, I wouldn't want to trust that really too much at all. Philadelphia and Indiana. Joel Embiid is listed as questionable in this one with an illness. Ben Simmons is off the injury report, so he should be returning to action. Other injuries to pay attention to? Well, we don't know the Pacers guys, Brogdon and Lamb and Jakar Sampson, who all sat out Monday's game, whether they'll be back. Tobias Harris at 72. The Sixers, I think, are just going to be able to ease things off pretty easily here. So I wouldn't want to use Harris. I wouldn't want to use Embiid. I wouldn't want to use Simmons. Seth Curry will return as well. Now, I do like Curry at 4,500. There is some value, I think, in that to push up a little bit higher. And I would just assume that Brogdon's not returning. So 10-4 for Sabonis looks good, especially if Embiid is out. 9,000 for Karis LeVert, I think looks pretty good as well. Dwight Howard is one to watch at 4,200. Could become one of the plays of the day if Embiid is actually ruled out, so keep an eye on that one. And then you got guys like Dougie McDermott, who doesn't really interest me, nor does O'Shea Brissett. Tyrese Maxey, 41 points last game, but that was without Simmons. just keep an eye on it. There's no Thibault. There's no Korkmaz. $4,000 for Maxi. I'm not totally sold on him, but I'm also not completely just writing him off. Because again, that last game was great, 40, and then 27 in the game before in 22 minutes, a 17-pointer in 14 minutes. There is enough there to at least go, well, maybe, especially if we hear that they are going to sit some blokes. But it looks at this point that Simmons will play and Curry will play. The next game we take a look at, the Orlando Magic and the Milwaukee Bucks. Now, I know I've been saying this for a while, that just watch for the Bucks to rest. This is a 5-game week for the Bucks. They're on a back-to-back, and they're taking on the Magic. I would be pretty surprised if these dudes play. I could be very wrong, but I would be very surprised. Wendell Carter Jr. is questionable for the Magic. So I'd be looking at guys like Pat Connaughton at 3,400 for Milwaukee. I'd be looking at Bobby Portis, who is priced down at 5,100 if Yanni is out. I'd be looking at Jeff Teague if Drew Holiday is sidelined. I'd be looking at Bryn Forbes at 3,200 if DiVincenzo is out. That's the direction I'd be looking. I'd also pay some attention to Iggy Brisdakis at 3,600, who's playing some pretty solid minutes behind Mo Wagner. Bumbers at 74, I think that's too high, especially with the uncertainty there with Wendell Carter. I wouldn't want to use Carter at 59, but I do like RJ Hampton at 6,000. I think that's a relatively solid situation. Cole Anthony there being a bit weird with his minutes, so I wouldn't want to put too much trust in that one. Phoenix, Golden State, a back-to-back for the Warriors in this one. The Suns are 6-point favorites. The total here is 5 point, or the total's not 5. The Suns are favored by 5. The total is 230 points. Cameron Johnson is out. So do they go back to using Frank Kaminsky? It's pretty vomiting-juicing, but they've been doing it. And Kaminsky is at 3,200. And his recent numbers have been all right. 25, 20, and 20. 3 out of the last 4 games. At 3,200, sure. Jordan Poole has played high 20s minutes the last 2. He's at 4,200. He's got that GPP upside. Well, Steph at 10,000. That seems ridiculously low. Curry should be a 50 or 60-point guy here. I love that. And I love McCall Bridges at 5,700 as well. He's maybe not a solid high. He's not a big ceiling guy, but he's a pretty solid floor player, I think. DeAndre Ayton, I can't in good conscience get behind that. Well, Booker at 82, probably a little bit too high. Draymond at 76, I actually do think comes in at a pretty good spot. The next game, absolute blowout potential in this one. The Kings and the Thunder. The last game was decided by about 30 points in favor of the Sacramento Kings, and they match up again here just a couple of days later. We do know that Harrison Barnes and De'Aaron Fox are out, but Buddy Hield is probable, while Lou Dort and Ty Jerome are questionable for the Thunder. Teo Maledon is out, so there could be a big opportunity for Jerome at 4,900, but if Jerome is out, if Maledon's out, I don't know who the point guard is. Mihailuk? Honestly, I don't know. Charlie Brown? Who's their point guard? I have no idea. Terrence Davis, 5,300. I like that one. I like Mo Harkless at 4,000. He's been scoring more. He's been defending pretty well. Pokusevski's at 44. That's at least a tournament play. And last game against the Kings, Moses Brown did some really good stuff. Brown had 33 DraftKings points in that game. We can't ignore Delon Wright, but the problem with Delon is he's up at 8,100, and that is obviously really high. I reckon I'd rather take Bud Hield at 82 than Delon at 81, but they are both pushed up pretty high. Bagley's at 64. I don't feel really much confidence in that. Maybe Kenrich Williams, the Oklahoma City Mudflat, maybe they play him at point guard because he can handle the ball, and he's quite low in salary, but there's also the chance that he just doesn't play. That's what they've been doing. This has got real mess written all over it. The Kings are only favored by 10.5 somehow. The last game of the day is the New York Knickerbockers. They are taking on the Los Angeles Lakers. No Emmanuel Quickley, or unlikely to be an Emmanuel Quickley. He is doubtful in this one. Well, the Lakers, the report was that LeBron would be coming back, but the official injury report lists him as out. So I don't know. I just don't know where he sits at this stage. Taylor Horton-Tucker's at 42, not interested. Derrick Rose at 59, very interested. Rose without Quickly should play 30-plus minutes. Drummond at 62, you'd have to pay me to take that, I reckon. While Alex Caruso at 48, love what he's doing without Schroeder, and especially if LeBron is sidelined, that works. Julius Randle, production's way down. He's averaging under 38 over the last 3. He's at 9,400. Might ease off it. And then 68 for RJ Barrett. I'm more interested in Barrett at 68. We know that Thibodeau's going to play them 80 minutes a game if he possibly can. While Anthony Davis, his salary's through the roof. And he has, for good reason. He had 77 last game. But 10-7, do I trust it? I'm not at that spot to trust that value from Anthony Davis. But he did look really, really good in the last game for the Lakers. Let's look at value across the slate. Toronto, I think, is the place where we've got ahead. Jalen Harris, Yuta Watanabe. I like Cody Zeller in Chicago. In Charlotte, Frank the Tank Kaminsky, D'Anthony Melton, Malachi Flynn, Brandon Clark, Evan Fournier, Paul Millsap, Saban Lee, Kyle Anderson, Jonas Valanciunas, Yanni maybe, but I'm doubtful of that one. Isaiah Stewart, Pat Connaughton, Jordan Poole, Jaden McDaniels maybe, Kyrie Irving, Jason Tatum, Terrence Davis, D'Angelo Russell, and Steph Curry. Guys, that will do it for me today. Don't forget, thumbs up, notification bell, leave your comments down below. Hit subscribe if you haven't done it, and you can find my channel as well in the title and in the description, Josh Lloyd Fantasy Basketball. Go check me out over there, guys. We are done here. Thank you so much for watching, everyone. See ya.